how does audio sound? Oh, fuck, not again. Cool.
Yeah, there's a disturbance going on in your house or something. You just
It's a ghost. It's a ghost of boyfriend's past.
ghost of boyfriends past, like plural,
Yeah, for sure. Multiple.
every one of them
All of them.
combined. It's a cluster. It's a cluster ghost.
Yeah, I think it could probably exist. They're all just homies, right? So
Ooh,
it's
they
fine.
band together. Phantom of the
You're pretty
Amanda.
chaos. Literally. Cool.
Just cool.
Yeah, it's fine. How was your week though? Yeah, good. Aside from being busy.
Yeah, it's getting better. It's just been like a super roller coaster. Fucking Texas Titan immediately to Superman, all of the above.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think it's been one of those weeks for everybody. Like everyone I've talked to, I feel like it's having a very emotional, it's just one of those weeks.
Just one of those weeks.
Okay. Are you ready to do this?
I'm not sure. I'm kind of nervous.
Stop playing. You're not nervous. Don't lie to me.
You can read me pretty well, honestly.
Yeah, I know. You're
Uh,
very like most of the time. I like that.
well, it's surprising. I was not an easy read before, but somehow I'm a super easy read now. That was what really bothered me this week in therapy is finding out how many things I'm so open about. Like my podcaster identity is basically real life, which I assumed that was a good thing, but turns out it's
No?
not the healthiest thing. I don't know.
Why? What did your therapist say about that? Just curious.
I lead with my entire vulnerability, which I'm very confused if that's a good or bad thing because he wasn't saying it was right or wrong, but I'm exposing everything before someone has earned it, is the way he said it.
Okay. And I understand that in the
Yeah.
context of relationships, friendships, things like that.
Mm,
I think in a situation like this, the vulnerability definitely matters, right? If you're
it's needed.
feeling all that, and yeah, I don't know.
He told me to be
Eh,
careful, like falling for the co-host or something on the podcast. If you're doing it together, be
Yeah.
careful because you're vulnerable to that. I'm like, that makes sense. If I found someone and she wanted a podcast with me, I'm like, do I drop a boundary or do I fucking go for it? I don't know. I've seen some really work out really well, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No, I can see that too. I can definitely see that. Huh. And things to think about for sure.
Unsettling for me this week. Who am I? You tell me.
Oh no, now you're questioning your full life's existence. You're like, oh
100%.
shit.
That's what we
Okay.
processed in the session was the period of my life that I just didn't know who I was, and I was just terrified, and I solved everything through drugs and alcohol and strippers, like all the above. Yeah. So all
I
your
would like
former
to
stripper friends.
uh,
What'd you say?
I was gonna say I'd like to say we haven't all been there, but I think it's a very unhealthy coping mechanism, but I feel like it's one of the ones that people turn to. So
Yeah, it's
it's an
so
easy
easy.
one.
Yeah. And then your entire identity gets consumed into that, and just there's nothing left to build.
Yeah. No,
Oh,
I agree
cool.
with
Well,
you.
we'll come back to that as I figure out life more and who the fuck I am.
Let me know so I can figure out who I am. Okay.
Okay, good. See, you're on the same page. Okay, good. And this is the dangerous part about the broken podcast.
I feel like I have a pretty good hold on who I am at this point, just after so much self exploration and just everything, right? And therapy, of course. But I do have those moments where I question a lot of things at my core, right?
Or
I
yeah,
don't know. I think it's learning and growing. And obviously, as you grow, you're not going to be the same person anyways. So I think it's a constant evolution of knowing who you are because that changes all the time.
I'm so tired of the changes, Amanda.
Bro, me fucking too. I
So tired.
swear to you.
On this podcast, we share a nuanced view on discussions involving relationships, self growth, and perspective. I'm 27 years old, and every week I'm joined by a counterpart. This week, I'm joined by another 40-year-old female. Right off the bat, Amanda, how many guy friends do you have versus lady friends while you're in the dating market?
I'll be honest, I have a lot of female friends, but I have definitely a lot more male friends. I think my personality, I think because I am pretty alpha, I think sometimes it's easier for me to understand them and them to understand me.
Interesting. The combination of, if anyone's watched a previous Amanda episode, we both have that people pleaser quality in us, but at the same time, you're saying you're somewhat alpha, which is true. Like I've experienced that with you just as friends. Yeah, yeah, you have that alphaness to you. How do you define your
Yeah.
alphaness? I actually want to expand on that.
No, I think it's just because my personality is pretty dominant. And for the most part, I feel like I have a lot of male energy. I just do. And I've had so many people tell me that. I think it's because I have a tendency to take charge, take control, be the lead, which is part of the reason my therapist was like, you need to stick with Latin dancing because you have to be the follow. It allows you to grow in your feminine energy. So I've been trying to more so balance that. But when it comes to like friendships, yes, I can relate better, I think, to men overall than I do with women.
And how many of your male friends have you slept with that were just friends?
My male, I have only slept with one of my male friends.
Multiply that times 3. Okay, and then continue.
No, literally, no, no. Like once you're like my male friend, that's pretty much it for me. So the situation where I slept with a male friend, it was a situationship first that became like a very deep friendship, and the sex continued. But yeah. So
I
once
see.
someone's like my guy friend, I that's it for me. Once I see you as a friend, that's pretty much it.
I see. Okay. So that one already started as a situationship. Okay.
Yeah.
Were you
Yeah.
dating someone while that situationship slash friendship happened?
Not initially. No, I wasn't. But this friendship has been like over the course of 14 years. So it's been he's one of my best friends. But yeah, we were both dating people on and off, and we were in serious relationships on and off. And because of the sexual connection and we have respect for each other, if either of us were in relationships, we would respect each other's relationship and not because it's not just like a platonic friendship, right? So I think just to not make our partners uncomfortable or feel guilty about things, we would just put the
While dating someone, have you ever told the person you're dating to not worry about that guy?
Hey, yes,
Okay.
but they didn't have to worry about that guy. I wasn't lying. I'm very loyal. I'm not gonna like. I would have zero desire to like be in a relationship and then also be doing something with him. So it wasn't a lie, but I can understand how a partner would feel uncomfortable with that. So
Perfect. And have you ever cheated?
on a partner, never in my life.
Never in your life. Okay. I'm
Never in
inclined
my
to
life.
believe
But
you.
I pride myself on too. So I'm like,
Okay.
how about you? Have you cheated? I know you have.
Hey, 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 it's not your turn yet.
Oh, okay, sorry. Just wanted to put around on you. Sorry.
I don't even know how to answer that. It's my relationship history is just so weird that it wasn't necessarily cheating. It was like the girl said she's perfectly fine with me seeing other girls and messing around. And then at the end of it, 2 years later, she's like, I wasn't okay with that. I was just saying that to please you. That one I
But
still
that's
feel a
not
little
on
guilty. Yeah, it's
of,
not on me yet. There's a little bit
of
of guilt, but other than that, I can't say I've cheated. No, that's not within me either. That's something immediately communicate, but
I feel like it's rare, especially in today's era where sex is so accessible. Like it's so easy. You have all these dating apps and social media. It is so easy. So I commend you for being a male who has not actually cheated.
for some reason, a part of me is, have I? Am I being completely honest? I'm like debating it in my head, but no, just my history on dating and relationships is minimal. It's mainly been just having fun, and the
Yeah.
others are mainly situationships. And then whatever ones were real, the one being where she was okay with it, but then she later told me she wasn't. And then the other one, we were still dating, but I never really messed around on her. But we never also went exclusive either. I don't know. Yeah. History is a lot more limited, but it's something I'm really conscious of. Like, as far as if I commit to you, yeah, it's a commitment. There's no cheating. And especially who I am today, it's easy. Let's just communicate. If you're not my partner, you're not my partner. And I'd rather not waste your time, especially if you want to have kids. I don't want to waste your time and take those precious years away from you.
Yeah, no, I get that too. So you decided you don't want kids?
Oh, yeah. We never talked about that, did we? Did I ever tell you if I want kids or not? Man, yeah, I've always been 100% I want kids, and then I went to 60-40 of 60% wants to have kids, 40% doesn't, because 'cause I'm like, "Ah, the freedom, and we have choice now." But there's something
So
about
where
me that made it obvious, which was watching someone be good with kids and that become really attractive to me, and that quality being attractive obviously means something.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as a man who witnesses a mother or child, because it is so nurturing and like loving and caring, that means they probably have the propensity to be that as a partner for you as well. So I can see the appeal in that.
Okay, so it's a little bit of a internalizing as well as maybe DNA saying that's a good partner to have a kid with also.
Uh-huh.
That makes
I
sense,
think
that is true, yeah. Your dating history currently, so history as in the last couple of weeks has been fucking wild for you. What's your main
um,
struggle right now?
what can be my main struggle? I'm just kidding. It's been a wild ride because I've never dated like this in my life. Never. So when I first started doing this and I figured out last night actually why the dating multiple people thing feels uncomfortable for me. And it's because I am very loyal. And so while doing this and like maybe building connections with multiple people, like a part of me feels guilty and it feels like wrong because inherently that's not who I am. But I also know because my therapist has told me that I should be, for what I'm looking for, my worth, for my own value, I should be dating multiple people. And it's like having this may the best man win mentality, really. And I understand it, but still uncomfortable. The one thing that I feel like I've been primarily struggling with is so going into dating, I'm really trying not to set expectations. And it's more so going on the first date, is the first date going to lead to the second date? Going on the second date, is it going to lead to a third date? But I feel like with some of my dates, I have struggled because there's not like maybe a spark initially. And but they're really nice guys. All of the guys, except for the first douchebag that I dated, have been great, high quality men, but sometimes I just don't feel a spark. And then I think I start over analyzing. Should I still give them a second chance for a second date? Maybe they're just like boring, or maybe they were just super shy, but boring can also be healthy. I feel like I've had analysis paralysis for the last 2 weeks on like, does a second date, do you need a spark to get there?
Yeah, that's extremely tough, and you said you've never dated like this, as in dating multiple people to find the right partner, is what you mean, right?
And yeah, that and just like dating casually, like I've been in a series of very long relationships, like long monogamous relationships. So in 2018, 2019, I did the dating app thing. I was dating first person I met on there, I ended up in a relationship with. So do you see the problems?
That is a lot of people's problems, and I can relate to you so hard on this. So last week's episode, or 2 weeks ago, was Maddie's episode, which she's my other counterpart and she's my age. I asked her that question, like, how do you not feel like you're cheating and screwing people over and just being a fuck boy or a fuck girl during that phase? And her answer was pretty grown, even though she's taken right now, which it's just true. Same thing your therapist says. Like, it's for you and you haven't committed to someone yet. It's still you. It's not you and I. It's not a us. Right now it's
Right.
me in my world and you in your world, and we haven't made it an us thing. That made me feel better. So I have a clip of that eventually I'll publish. I had thought about you immediately while was editing that, and that made me feel better. And it is one thing we just have to experience. But in your case, you also have a lot of options right now. You're a beautiful woman
Yeah.
and you have a lot of people after you probably, and you're successful all on your own.
Thank
That
you.
yeah, well, those options are probably what makes you debate the whole spark thing and wanting somewhat of a closer full package sign
And
while you have these many options coming at you. Is that it?
yeah, 100%. And I think just like you said on like the clip with your other counterpart, like I've really started to try to just understand that without a commitment, I should not be exclusive. That doesn't mean I'm like sleeping with everybody, right? That means I'm like trying to see if this person has like long term potential. Obviously, that takes time, right? So, it's I don't know, like my thing is building a connection with several people or two people, whatever it is. At some point, you're going to make a choice, right? And let's say you've been going down this road with them for, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. And then you got to be like, hey, listen, I chose someone over you. I'm going to feel like shit.
Yeah, feeling like shit after developing some sort of connection with someone for that long, you being mainly in long-term relationships, committing right away, that's exactly where your mind goes, and I'm the same as you. That's exactly where my mind goes. "Oh, we found someone, cool, we'll just do that right there." But when you're trying to be
Huh?
healthy, going on for months, actually playing the field healthy in a healthy way, yeah, that's so tough. Your brain's not used to that. That's not your experience. I'm completely there with you. I have no advice for anyone in the audience besides you just got to live through it. You got to do it. Know that a professional that you're paying money to every week or have paid money to is probably onto something and just see where that leads. That's all I have
Just
for you on
go
that
with
too.
it. Yeah, it's tough. I think that's what I'm really struggling with is like the no spark thing. Am I like making a bad decision? I mean, there have been dates. They were really nice, but I was like, okay, I know this absolutely is not for me. So on all of the dates I've had, they all asked for second dates, but there have been three that I was absolutely like, I could tell from the first date, like, you're attractive. You do well for yourself. You have great qualities, but like, I really don't feel it. And so I will, yeah, it's been an interesting road, this dating experience
What were those qualities and those couple of people that you immediately knew weren't for you?
that I knew weren't for me.
Yeah.
So for me, dating, I do like the idea that men are parents because I think I can relate more to men that have their own children, not younger children, but like children my daughter's age or older. The ones where I realize that they were not for me are the ones that are still entangled with their baby mamas and have a lot of drama. Not for me, not gonna do it. The other one was the personality was just so different from mine. On the date, he was very shy and very nervous and reserved. Great looking guy, really sweet guy, but I can talk a lot, but I was exhausted by the end of that date. It felt like an interview, like I was carrying it for 2 hours. And I was like, that's not for me either. And the other one, I feel like his personality was like I have a pretty energetic personality, but his was like way over the top. And I was like, okay, that doesn't work for me either. So those have been the ones that I've been like, absolutely no second date. No.
Yeah, you can immediately tell a personality difference. Yeah, those are fair to completely understand right away. How do you
Okay.
feel when a guy takes you to a five-star restaurant on the first date?
Not terrible. I mean, I feel like, I don't know. I think because like my self-value and my worth is very high. I wouldn't care if a man, like, took me to a mediocre restaurant, like, whatever, I don't care, but if he took me to a five-star restaurant, also don't care. I'm like, "I don't know, why? What are your thoughts? I wanna hear this, I see you smiling."
Yeah, at some point, it's very obvious when a man is leading with his finances, right? With his wealth.
It wasn't okay.
Oh, where are you going with it? Yeah, yeah, I was going on your question.
I wasn't necessarily okay, so I know I brought this up to you. or brought it up in our notes, whatever, about things we're experiencing. And it wasn't so much that. It's more, and I've been talking with my girlfriends about this because a lot of them are having the same experience with men that want to lead with their money. And a lot of times it's before they meet you. I think it really comes down to an insecurity thing. And so they're really trying to convey, hey, I've got money. I can do this. I can do that. But it is a turnoff. For sure. Like, I, of course, want a man who is like financially stable and who can be a partner in finances with me. I don't want to like date some broke dude who I've got to take care of him. But like the men that really want to like push and lead with their money, it's just, I can find that out in time. I don't need you to, to like try to impress me with your money within like the first week. I think it's weird. I think
What
it's a
are
bad take.
Yeah, it is bad taste. What are some of the ways someone has lied with their finances for you or your friends? Yeah, you look like you got some stories.
Yeah. So for example, the first guy that I went on a date with who ended up being the only douchebag I've dated, but he was like sending me pictures constantly of his shoe collection and his Yeezys and his Rolexes. And I was like, I know you think, and maybe it works for other women. Maybe that's the problem. But for me, I have my own money. I am financially secure. So you sending that to me is just turning me the
Yeah, it really does work with other women he's probably dated, but it makes sense he ended up being a douchebag because that's his entire world. If he doesn't start leading with different energy and different behaviors just to protect himself and value himself more, then it's hard to even get that reception. And of course, he wouldn't get your reception just based on those alone.
I agree. And I think if you're a man who's looking for a quality woman who's not a gold digger and doesn't want you for your fucking money, who wants that? Like, you can't be leading with your money like that. Like, you are going to attract the wrong women. Like, it's problematic.
There was such a long period in my life where I would even lead with capabilities I didn't have. Those fancy restaurants, anything related to making myself look bigger than I am. It was such a natural impulse for me. So I completely understand that side. And now I'm just seeing, I'm not even sure how to not go on those fancy dates, but I've learned just by doing not the fancy dates, taking someone somewhere just to genuinely get to know them.
That's it. I think, just like when you were doing it, it comes from a place of insecurity. Like, bottom line, hands down, it comes from a place of insecurity. Even if the men do have a lot of money, it's still coming from insecurity that they feel they need to like brag on that and share it, right? That early into meeting someone. So for you, because I have definitely dated men in the past who have tried to impress me and taken me on dates like beyond their means. And I think when you're starting a relationship, you have to really be authentically you because you can't keep up that facade for that long. And it's like, I, as a woman, would appreciate thought out dates. That doesn't mean you have to spend a lot of money on me, but that shows me like your character and that you're like, I don't know, maybe just a better person overall. I like that shit. But I think when you're leading in the wrong way, not only are you attracting the wrong type of partner, but you can only keep that shit up for so long. And then if that's why they liked you, they're going to leave you when you can no longer do that.
Leading the right way with the right views on dating and just going for it, even if it's not natural to you. Vulnerability in a first date. Obviously, neither of you have earned that from each other, but at some point, you want to know more about the person. So, what are you actually trying to learn in the first couple of dates versus when do you want actual vulnerability to happen? How is that process and timeline for you?
It's a very interesting question. I think when you are too vulnerable on a first date, that's probably a sign of unresolved trauma, depending on what you're talking about on the first date. So I've experienced that people that overshare things they should not be sharing on a first date, which is, for me, you probably shouldn't talk about your childhood trauma. And yeah, talk about like your past relationships so the person has an understanding of why you're back in the dating scene. But I think like a lot of that stuff can be kept to yourself until maybe it progresses a few weeks in and you feel comfortable, you feel some sense of safety with that other person is when you should share those things.
That's beautiful. And when you get to a point of not wanting to go on a date with that person anymore and you attempt rejection, how has that gone for you?
Not good. Not not good, my friend. It I feel like the other thing that I'm really having to, because I don't like hurting anyone's feelings, like, I hate it, like, it makes me really uncomfortable, but when I've had these second dates, the 3 of them that or not the second date, the first dates, the 3 of them that I decided I didn't want a second date, I tried to be very direct with them and honest and just not they shouldn't waste their time. Like if I'm not interested, you can stop pursuing me, right? But so I told this one guy that I said, I think you're a great guy. Thank you so much for dinner. However, because he kept calling me constantly after the date, like texting, and I was just being nice, but I was like trying to figure out what to say so that he would stop, basically. And so I told him that. And I said, I just don't feel a romantic connection. And if I see you out, I'll be friendly, whatever. So then I sent that message, and then he starts calling me like 10 times in a row. And I was like, great. And then and I didn't answer. So he sent me this novel of a text saying, like, you made me very nervous on the first date. I didn't know how to act around you. Maybe that was part of it. And he said, I know I wasn't very romantic with you on the first date. And like, he said, good things take time. And I was like, okay. I was like, Maybe I didn't convey this properly." I said, "I think you're really nice. That's great. I do not personally feel a romantic connection with you." And this was the baby mama drama one, and just overall, it was just just wasn't feeling it. Then he started calling me again and again, and I was like, "I did my part. At this point, I'm gonna block you because I did it the healthy way. I'm not gonna keep doing this. I barely know you."
All the things that he protected himself on by texting you a novel, saying maybe it was this, maybe it was that, and give me a chance to please you so that I can
Mhm.
were any of those things actually important things that turned you off from him, or what was it really that turned you off from him?
I mean, no, not at all. I don't when I say I don't feel a romantic connection, and maybe that's where the confusion came in. It doesn't mean you didn't romance me. I don't need that on a first date necessarily. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get to know you. And I didn't want to tell him the actual reason behind that because I wouldn't want him to feel bad, right? But yeah, everything else, like he was really nervous on that date, but that wasn't even the problem. Like he was still really nice. He was a gentleman. It was just everything he was trying to win me back over with weren't it wasn't the issue anyways.
All the ways he tried to justify his behaviors and who he is as a person were not
Mhm.
even the issues at all. That is something I'm personally working on is as soon as I feel triggered or I feel rejected, feel denied, anything that makes me question my self-worth, I immediately go to trying to solve it, trying to justify it, trying to make a reason of, "Hey, this is why I did." Explanations is the word I'm looking for. I try to
Ye
explain my way out of everything, and
Mhm.
and that's a behavior I'm slowly starting to notice. It's, "Oh, if my friend I asked him for help and he made a comment that just made me feel bad about it, it's okay, I don't need to go and explain it to him. I asked him for help, he helped, and if he makes another comment next time, I'll just say, "I don't need your help anymore. It's okay. I'll handle it myself." Or, "You know what? Those comments make me feel weird. Should I even ask you for help anymore?" That'd probably be a healthier way to deal with it. I'm learning those. As far as like the dating world and just interpersonal stuff with another person, like me being recovering from trying to get attention and love from everyone. When they do give it to you, then you start actually questioning, do I even want that love from them and that attention from them? I'm
Yeah.
trying to make sure that's not a consistent behavior, but with one person, I made it very clear, "Hey, I have no intentions besides a casual friendship with you." And it came back to me after many weeks of, "Hey, I acted weird around you because you were distant and I cried that night." And then, "Hey, maybe we could still have our casual friendship and I don't want that to be ruined, but we could still do some great embraces through hugs." Comments like that kind of made me question how much more direct I should probably be just to make sure this person gets it through their head that, "Hey, the whole reason I didn't value you and didn't enjoy you, there's many, but one of them is because you put no price to your attention, to your value. There was no price to the makeout session. There was no price to any of it. And that's probably why there's such a loop with you as a human being is that you're not putting a price towards your own actions and values." I want to say that because I don't think anyone will say to that person, but I don't know. You can probably relate to this for personal or external.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think just because of your past and like what you're trying to come out of from like past relationships, situationships, and like trying to change these behaviors to healthier ones, I can see how it can be conflicting.
And that person 100% might actually see this episode. That's terrifying. But moving on
I
from
know.
that. Yeah, even
Believe
for
me.
you, you've been so fucking honest. I did not expect you to answer the question about have you slept with any of your friends, how many, and embracing and
Yeah.
understanding that. You are so valuable. I want to appreciate you and notice you for that.
No, thank you. To be fair, we have not slept together in years, but he's someone I talk to almost every day. So
Okay, I don't mean to stay on that subject, but yeah, let's say I was your age, we were compatible, all those things. I would probably have a yeah, I would have a problem with that. That'd be one of my red flags for sure. And I feel like that's a secure view that person is still in your life. You have your integrity, you have your values and how you view that you wouldn't sleep with that person while you're dating, let's just say me in this case.
right.
But how would you approach it? Let's say you also viewed me as extremely compatible, all those things and you wanted to make it work, and brought that problem to you. Let's say you found your soulmate. How would you deal with that? It's your partner, it's your life partner now telling you that's a problem for him.
Had that in the past for sure because me and him have had such a long friendship. And I feel like if I'm going to be serious with a partner or someone I'm getting into a relationship with, number one, I'm going to be very transparent with them. Not everybody feels the same way about the same thing. So anything that I feel possibly jeopardize a relationship, I would be very transparent with them about it and let them make their decision. And for me, if it's someone that I'm entering into an actual relationship with, I want them to feel like I'm respecting their boundaries. And I'm like, and the other part to this dynamic is with my friendship with him, we are very understanding of that with each other. As a woman, I know like with his girlfriends that he's had, like, I wouldn't as one of their girlfriends, I wouldn't want him, like, having constant interaction with me, like, knowing about our past. So I think just as an adult, both of us can look at it and say, "Okay, we're not gonna hurt our partner's feelings. We don't wanna make them feel some type of way. We'll be here, but we're not gonna have that interaction, like, period." And I don't even just mean sexual, but just as, like, friends. Like, I'm not gonna go hang out with him when
Exactly.
as a friend just because of the sexual past, because I'm not gonna disrespect my partner, period.
Perfect. And that's a perfectly healthy answer. I'm glad you answered in that way. Our gap, you 40, me 27, 40 years young. I'm gonna try to be nice to you. I don't think you actually view 40 as a bad thing
I
though. I've never gotten that from you.
do what?
I don't think you view 40 years old as a bad thing. I really don't get that from you. A lot of people, when they hit 30, 40, any of those big numbers, they immediately start criticizing themselves for many reasons. I don't really get that from you. Is it there and you're just hiding it? Or
Yeah, it's definitely there, I'm not gonna lie to you. There. I think it's the thought of being 40 and what 40 has maybe resembled for a lot of people, but then I take myself out of that, and I'm like, "It doesn't matter, like, I feel young, I'm happy, I it's just a fucking number." I do get in my head about it sometimes, but I try to stop.
yeah, I think you just being aware of it is honestly as good as it can get for that age, being a female in the modern world anyway. So I really don't feel that from you. The energy I'm getting from you, I feel like I read people really well. So, yeah, I think that whatever insecurity is there, you're managing it really when you're leading with better energy than focusing on the age. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, the difference between our generations, finances and relationships was usually whenever you find your partner, usually the man takes over and handles all the finances from there. A lot of things have changed, and you've witnessed 40 years of changes, and it is drastic changes. I am seeing relationships work out pretty well where everything is 50-50. Even dating, my last dating relationship, we actually did split the dates even 50-50, which was such a weird concept. It felt very
Mhm.
uncomfortable for me being in the old school mindset, just growing up with older people around me and just learning from them. That was my mindset. So I'm even shedding my shell from that. How do you view it?
It's kind of a dichotomy, right? So I feel like a man in the beginning should absolutely lead and try to court you. I realize also realistically that a lot of men are dating multiple women. And you know what I'm saying? Paying for all these expensive dinners. And it can be a bit much. But for me personally, I do feel like I want to be courted in the beginning, 100%. Once there's an actual and not like for like months and months, like I have no problem like picking up dates. I've done that with a lot of my past relationships. Like I'll pick up the dates. I'll take you out. Like there's my alpha male energy. But yeah, once it gets to a certain point, yes, I believe splitting things and making it fair is probably the best way to go. And I think because I know a lot of women who just want a man to take care of them and take care of everything and pay for everything. And for me, that's always been a really big turnoff because I think there are a lot of men who want to control you with their money. I'm not here for that. So I would rather have a partner who we contribute in life as a partnership, not one person doing everything while the other person does nothing. I don't think that's fair.
Would you stop working if you found your soulmate that was capable of financially taking care of everything?
I've had men that were financially capable and they did want me to stop working, and I would not stop working. I'm never going to not have my own money. That makes me very uncomfortable that a man wants to fully support me financially. I don't like that.
You know what? I'm starting to see your point on that. If it's like when you said they wanted you to stop working, I was like, that is a weird thing to ask of your partner, especially if they're making something of themselves. That's attract to me. That's attractive if someone's making something of themselves. You're doing something with your
Right.
life. That alone is attractive. However, the financial returns are, it doesn't really matter as long as you're doing something. The fact that
Right.
they said stop working like entirely, and you're pretty passionate about what you do. You've been doing it for a
Mhm.
while. You're good at it. You have a house out of it. You have a life out of it.
Yeah.
So I understand it is more of a controlling aspect. Okay.
100%. I see, damn, a lot of women trying to leave marriages after they have kids and build a life with this partner who they allowed to take control of everything financially. And I see it in so many of these situations. The men control the money. She's got to ask for permission to use the money because technically it's his money, even though they're married. And then the marriage falls apart. She has no fucking way to leave. She has no money of her own. She has no job skills, no nothing. She is fucked. I will never put myself in that position. Never.
Interesting. In a way, I was trying to see if that was like a trauma response from you to wanting to have that control of money, but you made it very clear. This is just an old school power tactic that males have made for centuries, for pretty much all of life. That we controlled everything, and now
Yep.
things are a lot more independent. Yeah, I'm coming from that world of wanting to lead as a man, and yeah, you stay home and take care of the kids. So what I grew up in, but as I've grown, as the modern world has been catching up to me, I'm like, no, it's definitely way more attractive if you're doing something with your own life. So those views are changing for me alone.
That's good though. I think it's good to challenge views like that that are really old school. The only thing I can say is where I maybe would understand it a little bit is okay, I make great money, but I'm not making $5 million a year. If I get with a partner who makes $20 million a year and they're like, yeah, no, we're cool with splitting stuff. And they're like, let's like fly to St. Croix every weekend. I would be like, you can actually really afford that every weekend. in that case, as long I think it probably depends on how much your partner makes versus how much you make, and there can be a way to make that fair, where one partner is not, like, paying for everything and one partner is not suffering trying to keep up with their partner if financially you're not on the same level. But, yeah, I think in that case is the only case where I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm not splitting it with you 50-50, or I'm gonna be bankrupt."
Literally file for bankruptcy after that trip. Yeah, you'll never financially recover from that 100%. No, it is important to honestly to adapt to the modern ways. That completely makes sense. It feels right with us gaining our independence, but at the same time, yes, be practical. If these are your finances separately, let's just not hide from that. We don't have to keep challenging each other if we're actually being responsible with
Yeah.
how we're splitting everything. It's okay, that's a little too far. I completely understand. Now, the new way and the old way of thinking, some of it also relates to us getting so much independence in the dating world. Both men and female, we're so much more independent now. That being said, boundaries are tougher to implement. So, boundaries in dating, like scaring someone away, that's a thing that feels challenging for a lot. So, that's some of your friends' fears. How are you navigating that? And what's your thoughts on that?
I had a conversation with one of my guy friends today. He's gay, he's dating, and he was talking about being really scared because he really likes this guy that he's dating. And he said, "There are some behaviors that I don't like that feel very unhealthy in a relationship." And I said, "Then you need to talk to him about your boundaries and what's acceptable for you, what's not." And he was like, "I'm really scared I'm going to scare him away." And I said, that's the point. Like, you're if this person respects you and cares about you, like, they're gonna respect and care about your boundaries. If they don't, if they tell you to fuck off, it's not the person you wanna be with, like, period. And I'm very much the same way. Like, I can really care about someone and be super into them, but if I express a boundary to you and you don't respect it, boy, bye. I really don't care. That's more important to me than how much I like you. Period.
I'm curious, what was his boundary that he was wanting to communicate, and what might be one of yours that has been tested?
Whew, there's been a lot that's been tested. With him, it was more so that this guy was not like courting him and like he just felt like there were a lot of things that were not fair. And then also that this guy was like constantly talking about kind of comparing him, like my friend, to his past partners. And I was like, I think it's okay to bring that up to a degree, but if you're like comparing it almost in a negative sense, like that's not necessary.
Yeah, completely fair. What about you? What's been tested a couple times?
Oh, damn. I don't,
That made you
man,
anxious
just,
also of not to lose someone, giving you existential life
it,
crisis right now?
yeah, no, because boundaries are fairly newer to me. I'd say like probably the last 3 years, I've really learned to hone in on those. But just as far as like disrespect in a relationship, like either the way they talk to you or the comments that they make, or people who may things that could be misinterpreted with like their female friends or female acquaintances that is disrespectful. Like that definitely, I've even had the exes who still talk to their exes. I can understand where they're coming from, but in ways that are definitely not super appropriate. So I've laid down boundaries for so many things. I can't even like pinpoint. Like there's been a lot.
Interesting. Is there a natural theme to them
I think
in a way that it
respect,
affects you emotionally? Yeah.
respect, 100% it's respect. How about you?
Oh, boundaries setting? Man, I keep forgetting that questions are gonna be thrown back at me.
Sorry, buddy.
But I guess really boundaries are a super foreign concept for me too. And I didn't realize boundaries and expectations are two different things. Boundaries are something I won't do depending on your action, and then expectations are an action I'm hoping you would take or expecting you to take. So combining those things, most of my life has been expectations on people and not
Yeah.
actual boundaries on me. So I'm even learning the differences between those. But I will say this might not be related. Maybe I'm dodging the question because I need to think about my boundaries a lot more. Actually, you know what? Let's go into it. Values have been a question for me. I don't completely know all my values. I feel like I need to write them down. My therapist agreed that I need to start writing down my values. Because for anyone that knows the past and seen prior episodes, and I told you a little bit about it, like drugs, alcohol, so much of my past involved numbing myself. In fact, my
Yeah.
natural go to place anytime I feel triggered or just sad is just numb, where I go through my motions, whether it's work or anything that's in my day, I just go through the motions. I'm numb about it, but no one knows the difference. Where are my values? Where are my identities? What is my identity within the values? Identity comes from values. Had no idea. That's something that's I just learned Wednesday. So these are concepts to me, but I'm starting to realize some of my values. Did you ever struggle with that too? Just what are your values? Did you ever have those identity crises?
Yes, I mean, growing up as a child in a significant amount of trauma, I had no understanding of what like healthy was, period. And so I've gotten lucky in a lot of my relationships, but of course, I've had really bad relationships also that, did not enable me to grow. So I did not start learning about like my identity, my own values in a general sense and what those meant to me until I started my therapy journey. So I'm right there with you. This is still, I've been doing it for years, but it's still a foreign concept because it's not something that was inherent within me. I've had to learn it. So yeah, I'm with you.
And I wanna say sorry that you're going through that, because me going through that right now, just discovering that on Wednesday, like, "Holy shit, where is my identity?" Like, where do I
Huh?
begin and where do I stop, right? That's a boundary too, is like, where do I begin, where do I stop? And so your partners need to know that, your friends, your family, everyone important to you need to know where you begin and where you start. That's another thing I'm
Yeah.
starting to realize. What age did you begin your therapy journey or start realizing you had your identity crisis too?
I started in 2017 as when I first started doing therapy. I think I just didn't have the best therapist. Like I learned some really good things, but didn't really like the therapist that much. So I did that on and off for maybe a year. And then in 2019, I had ended like a 5.5 year very healthy relationship, got into probably one of the most toxic relationships in my life after that because I didn't process, didn't grieve, didn't do any of that, just jumped in. And that I'm now very thankful for that relationship because that got me into therapy in a very serious way. That's really 2019 is like when I started taking therapy very seriously, like doing the work. So, in all aspects of my life, childhood, relationships, all of it.
And how much better your life is now if you hadn't done that. I can't even imagine.
I'm not the same person, period. Like, period. I'm like a 180 difference of who I was prior to that.
That was the most awestruck moment of what happened this Wednesday. We were doing something called EMDR therapy, so it really immerses you in whatever memories you're experiencing.
Yeet.
I was talking to myself almost in third person, and I realized 7 years of my life minimum, maybe 8 of those years, numbing myself with alcohol and drugs, I that voice that was speaking to me in third person, how out of control that voice got. In
Mhm.
EMDR, you're just going with everything, so you're saying to the therapist exactly what you're thinking in that moment. And I
Going. Uh-huh.
one of the things I said was, "I feel so numb, give me more cocaine. I want to feel something." And that was a
Mhm.
statement I said out loud. Another
Mhm.
statement I said was, "I am so lonely. I feel so unloved. Take all my money and give it to these strippers so I can experience some type of love." Yeah,
Yeah.
all of
It's
that.
hard.
Yeah, and that was the voice
It's
speaking. I had never talked about it like that in third person.
your internal voice, the very unhealthy one, right? That just wants to quickly heal any kind of pain just to get it done and over with. I would tell you to stick with the EMDR because after just a very traumatic situation in 2019, I had some serious PTSD from it, and EMDR saved my life for real.
I didn't know you had been through EMDR also. Okay.
Yep. It's so good. It's challenging to go through that and have to go back to those places. Yeah, it sucks. But now it's like completing that therapy, it was the best thing for me, and I'm telling you, huge proponent of EMDR.
We've never really gone into the specifics of therapy. We mention it all the time on this podcast with pretty much every guest I bring on, but it's nice to hear even Amanda has vouched for it with her own personal trauma. I am 100% vouching for it, even though I'm in the beginning stages. It's been about like 3, 4 months.
Oh, okay.
The amount of exposure I'm going through of who I was, who I am today, combining that with talk therapy, I'm a different person every month. That's how fast this progression is. Every month, I am a different person. I'm unlocking more of myself. It's not just talk
Yeah,
therapy, it's not just venting and feeling better and having someone to dump things on. It's
yeah,
truly reorganizing the way your brain has processed things. So 100% vouch
yeah,
for it. If you have any recommendations, feel free to reach out to
yeah.
either of us on our platforms. I'll tag Amanda on MySpace and I'll tag myself by just talking to you.
Well,
Yeah, I am.
yeah, no, yeah. I'm really proud of you for doing it because it is hard work and it's not from shit that you caused to yourself. That's always my complaint to my therapist every time. I'm like, "I'm so fucking tired of doing this because I didn't cause these issues." But you have to take the accountability and the responsibility, and I don't think a lot of people realize when you're, like, really in it to make these changes, it's fucking difficult and it sucks. So I'm proud of you for doing it and for sticking with it, like, good for you.
It is honestly really nice to hear that from someone because, yeah, this week has been so fucking tough. Just having that in the back of my head, wow, I talked to myself as if I didn't even know who I was, and there was a person
Mm,
running my life that I had no control over, just trying to survive. So, like, at the end of the day, that person is me, and I was just trying to survive, and I was
yeah,
trying to do the best for myself with the circumstances I had. It's almost like you are me, I am you, and just under different circumstances, right? It is so
100%, yeah.
nice to have your relatability on this. That is probably the nicest feeling I've had this entire week since
Aw,
Wednesday. I thank you for that. But I wanna
you're
highlight that
welcome.
as a theme on the podcast too. The entire thing we do, our project little here, our little project here is for you to be able to relate to someone. The conversations we're having with each other, this may not be the conversation you have in a first date or with your friends. And I'm
Right,
actually
yeah.
learning that's not what you're supposed to do. So I'm gonna share that with the audience right there. I'm learning that's not what I'm supposed to do either. So I'm gonna try and separate my identity a little bit and have some boundaries on that just for my own self because some people can use it against you. Everything I'm revealing here, 100% can be
Uh,
used against, and everyone has a
100%.
chance to do that. But the value
Yeah,
in someone relating to us, just like how I'm relating to you, and that helping me throughout this week, just knowing I'm not alone. I'm really hoping we
yeah,
can provide that for a small audience to a growing audience. So please share this podcast, keep it growing. Eventually, we hope to make it a thing where sharing it is a part of your life consistently.